Have you ever looked into a mirror and wondered if your reflection was really you? I don't mean metaphorically. I mean truly stared, unblinking, until your skin looked fake, your eyes hollow, and you felt like something else was watching. You back. That happened to me. And I swear to God it wasn't just in my head. My name is Thomas. I'm 34, divorced, quiet type. After the split, I moved into a small 2-story house outside of Asheville, North Carolina. Wooded, remote. I wanted silence. I thought silence would be healing. It wasn't. The mirror came from a local thrift shop. A heavy, antique thing. Baroque frame, tarnished edges, the kind of piece that feels like it belonged to a room filled with whispers and dust. I didn't need it, but the moment I saw it, I felt drawn. The old man at the counter said it had been salvaged from an estate where strange things happened. He laughed, but his eyes didn't. I shrugged it off. I wasn't the superstitious type. That night I hung it in the hallway upstairs right across from my bedroom door. The first time it happened, I'd just come out of the shower. The hallway was dim, moonlight leaking through the small attic window. I looked at the mirror and froze. My reflection wasn't moving. I stood there, towel around my waist, skin still wet, and my reflection just stared at me. Cold. Still. Eyes slightly wider than they should have been, like it knew something I didn't. I blinked. So did it. I took a step. It mirrored me. But for a moment, it lagged. Maybe a second. Maybe less, but it was enough to set something off deep in my gut, like instinct screaming. After that, I couldn't stop looking. It became a compulsion. Every night I'd stand there longer, watching, waiting. The reflection always started normal, but after a few minutes, small things would change. My eyes would bleed in the mirror. Tiny trails, red and raw. A smile would stretch, just barely, on the other side. Once I swear it whispered something, though I couldn't hear it. I started dreaming about it. Always the same. Me standing in the hallway, and the mirror version stepping out, peeling itself from the glass like it was pushing, through water, and always I'd wake up sweating, heart hammering, standing in front of the mirror without remembering how I got there. I stopped sleeping, I stopped working, I stopped answering calls. I even unplugged the mirror from the wall, wrapped it in a sheet, shoved it into the basement. Didn't matter. 3 nights ago, I heard footsteps upstairs. Heavy, deliberate. I live alone. I grabbed the baseball bat I keep under the bed and crept up the stairs. The hallway light flickered when I switched it on. And there, hanging exactly where I had taken it down, was the mirror, unwrapped, smiling. I haven't left the house since. Something's coming through. I feel it. Every night the image grows clearer, stronger. My reflection doesn't just mimic anymore. It watches. And last night, it waved at me. I don't sleep anymore. When I close my eyes, I feel it breathing inside my mind, like a second heart pulsing behind glass. I've tried everything. Salt, burning sage, even smashed the damn mirror into pieces and buried them in the woods behind the house. That night I woke up choking. There were shards of glass in my mouth, blood running down my throat. I had eaten the pieces in my sleep, and the mirror was back on the wall the next morning. Whole. It doesn't want to be destroyed. It wants to be seen, to be used. Every time I look into it now, it feels more real than the room behind me. Like the reflection is my real world, and this one is the copy. Yesterday, I caught it blinking when I didn't. Not a lag, not a delay. It was doing its own thing, its head tilted like it was studying me. Curious, hungry. I screamed, punched the glass. My fist shattered against the surface like I'd hit concrete, and the reflection didn't flinch, it just leaned in and smiled. I ran. I locked myself in the bathroom, sat on the cold tile floor, shaking, trying not to throw up. And that's when I noticed the mirror above the sink, but it wasn't me. It was him. The thing in the hallway mirror. Only this time, it was closer. His skin was grayish, like wax stretched over bone. His eyes, God, his eyes, they weren't human anymore. Just hollow sockets leaking a thick black sludge, and he was mouthing something. I leaned in. He said, "Let me wear your skin." I blacked out. When I woke up, I was back in bed. Morning light was pouring through the window. For one brief, delusional second, I thought maybe it was over, that it was all some psychotic break. Then I looked in the hallway. The mirror wasn't there, but I could still see myself. Standing, smiling, like the wall still held a reflection. But there was no glass. I don't know how it did it, but I think it's inside now, not just in the house, in me. Every time I move, I feel a delay, a slight lag, like I'm not the one in control anymore. Sometimes my hands twitch when I don't move them. Sometimes I hear laughter when I'm alone. Just now, I looked down at my phone and there was a picture open I never took. It was me, asleep, and something standing at the edge of my bed. It looked like me, but it wasn't smiling. I think it's learning how to pretend. Please, if you find this, burn this house. Burn everything. And never ever look into a mirror in the dark. Because once it sees you, it doesn't forget, and it always wants out. They say you never truly know a place until you live in it. I wish I hadn't learned that the hard way. It was supposed to be a fresh start. After my divorce, I moved from Chicago to a quiet little town in Maine called Ashfield. I found an old, Victorian-style house listed stupidly cheap. Too cheap. The kind of price that makes you wonder what's wrong with it. But I was desperate and broken. I convinced myself it was just luck. The first night I noticed the room, it wasn't listed on the blueprint the realtor sent. A narrow, windowless space tucked behind the upstairs linen closet. No light fixtures, no outlets, just rotting floral wallpaper peeling like dead skin. And the smell, musty, metallic, like old pennies soaked in damp earth. I shouldn't have gone in, but something about it pulled at me. I felt dizzy standing in the doorway, like the air inside was thicker. Wrong. My dog Bailey wouldn't go near it. She growled low in her throat and backed away, tail between her legs. I shut the door and told myself to forget it. I couldn't. Every night the door would creak open on its own, slowly, like something inside wanted out. At first I blamed the drafty house, then came the sounds, whispers, at 3:13 a.m., sharp, always the same time, soft, unintelligible murmurs like someone standing right behind the wall, talking just low enough to keep you guessing. I started sleeping with the TV on, the volume up, just to drown it out. Didn't help. On the fifth night, I woke up to find muddy footprints on my hallway carpet, small ones, child-sized, leading from the closet to my bedroom door. But I live alone. I tore that closet apart, hands shaking, looking for a logical explanation. Found nothing. But the room was colder, like walking into a freezer sealed with concrete. I bought sage. Holy water, crosses, nothing worked. Whatever lived in that room wasn't afraid of prayers or rituals. One night I nailed the door shut. At 3:13 a.m., I heard something scratching furiously from the inside, like nails on wood, followed by a thud, then silence. I thought I'd won. But the next morning, the nails were on the floor, bent, spat out like chewed gum, and the door was wide open. That night I dreamed of a child, pale, wide-eyed, standing in that room. His skin was ashen, stretched tight over bones. He didn't move, didn't speak, but his mouth opened, wider and wider, until it tore up to his ears, black void behind his teeth. I woke up screaming. There was dirt in my bed. Real wet dirt, like something had crawled in with me. I called the local sheriff. Told him someone was breaking into the house. He came, checked every lock, every window. Nothing was forced. But when I mentioned the hidden room, he stopped cold. "Are you sure?" he asked. "There's no record of that space on the property. Files. That part of the house used to be sealed." "Sealed?" I asked. He hesitated, then said, "Look, I'd avoid that room if I were you." That night I heard a voice for the first time. Not a whisper, not a murmur. Clear, cold, right next to my ear. "Come see what you buried." After I heard that voice, I didn't sleep for 2 days. I kept the lights on, sat in my kitchen with a baseball bat and a butcher knife. Every creak made me jump. Bailey wouldn't eat. She sat by the front door, whining softly, scratching to be let out like the house was choking her. I should have left, but I didn't. I needed to know what the voice meant. What did I bury? I had no memory of this place, no history, nothing to bury, unless it wasn't about me. That third night, I finally snapped. I grabbed a hammer and forced the closet door open again. The hidden room felt swollen somehow, like the walls were breathing. The smell had worsened, wet rot and something else. Something sweet and decaying, like spoiled meat left out in the sun. I stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind me. I screamed, pounding on it, but it wouldn't budge. Then I noticed the floor, bulging slightly in the center like something was buried beneath the wood. I dropped to my knees, tearing at the boards, splinters slicing into my fingers. That's when I found it. A small, rusted tin box. I hesitated. My gut twisted as I opened it. Inside was a child's drawing, stick figures scribbled in black crayon. A house, a tall man, a woman, and a little boy. The boy's face had been furiously scratched out. Below it, in a shaky hand, were the words, "He said I had to stay." Then the room began to shake. The walls vibrated like something was moving inside them. I stumbled back, the air turning thick and oppressive, like I was being crushed. Then a voice again, this time from all directions. "You opened it. Now remember." I screamed as memories I didn't know I had exploded in my skull. Visions that weren't mine but felt like they belonged in my bones. A man, dragging a crying boy into that room, nailing it shut. Whispers. Silence. Then nothing. My body locked. I felt cold hands wrap around my neck from behind, small hands. Bailey barked outside the door, frantic. Then a snap, the sound of her yelping, cut off like a wire pulled from a speaker. And then the voice again. This time, from within my own head. "I'm not the only one you forgot." The floor beneath me split open with a sickening crack. Black sludge poured out thick as oil, and hands, dozens of pale, childlike hands, reached up, grasping at my legs, pulling me down. I fought, screamed, begged, but it didn't care. The last thing I saw before being swallowed whole was the boy's drawing, now changed. The scratched-out face was gone, replaced with mine. And beside the tall man, a new figure had been drawn in black, grinning, hollow-eyed, watching. I didn't even want the damn house. It came to me through some legal loophole, an inheritance from a great uncle I'd never met, tucked away in a fog-choked corner of Oregon. The kind of place that never shows up on Google Maps unless you zoom in so close you're practically breathing on your screen. The house was old, the kind of old that doesn't creak, it groans. Wood warped like it remembered pain. The garage was detached and crooked, with ivy strangling the bricks. But what caught my attention the moment I pulled into the gravel driveway was the window above the garage. Just one. It was dark. But I swear, I saw someone move. I blinked. It was empty, or maybe it never had anything in it at all. That's what I told myself. Again and again. But that room, it watched me. I moved in out of financial desperation. I was broke, jobless, and too proud to ask for help. So I scrubbed mold, replaced broken glass, and patched holes in the floorboards. I never went near the garage. I kept telling myself, didn't need to, until the noises started. Every night around 3:12 a.m., like clockwork, I'd hear footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Above the garage. Not in the garage. Above it. I tried to laugh it off. Squirrels, I muttered, though my voice trembled. But squirrels don't whisper your name. The first time I heard it, I was in bed. Lights off. Phone, charging. Silence stretching so long it pressed on my chest. Then from the direction of the garage, barely audible, Michael. It sounded wet, like it had been dragged through a throat lined with something rotten. I froze. I didn't sleep that night or the next. Every night the whisper got louder, more desperate, more familiar. And then, 2 nights ago, I found the door. I hadn't noticed it before. A narrow, warped wooden thing tucked behind a collapsed shelf at the back of the garage. A staircase led up steep and suffocatingly narrow. I told myself not to go up. I climbed the stairs. The room at the top was wrong. It was perfectly clean, spotless. White walls, a bed neatly made, no dust. It should have smelled musty. It didn't. It smelled like bleach and old perfume. On the nightstand, a photo. It was me. As a child. Maybe 7 or 8. Standing, next to a woman I didn't recognize, her hand on my shoulder. Her smile was wide, unnatural, like she was trying to mimic something human. Her eyes were scratched out. But here's the thing. I never lived in this house as a child. That photo shouldn't exist, and yet, there I was. Behind me, the floorboards groaned. I turned, but no one was there. Then the door slammed shut. I ran to it. Locked. I pounded, screamed, kicked until my voice was shredded. And then I heard breathing, right behind me. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. I just shut my eyes and whispered over and over, "This isn't real. This isn't real." And then the voice, low and cracked like dead branches, said, "You promised you wouldn't forget me." I don't remember how I got out. 1 minute I was trapped in that pristine, silent room with the photo that shouldn't exist, paralyzed by a voice I hadn't heard since childhood but couldn't place. And the next, I was lying on my living room floor, hands raw, shirt soaked in sweat and blood that wasn't mine. The door to the garage was shut, locked from the inside. I tried to convince myself it was a breakdown, a psychotic episode, stress, lack of sleep, maybe mold exposure. Maybe I'd finally snapped. But the photo was still in my pocket, crumpled, the edges biting into my skin like it wanted to be remembered. That night, I barricaded my bedroom door. I turned on every light. I clutched a kitchen knife and sat in the corner like a prisoner in my own home. At 3:12 a.m., every light in the house flickered and died. Then I heard it again, the creak of the attic floor. But I don't have an attic. The walls themselves began to groan, deep, resonant, like the house was stretching, awakening, and beneath it all, breathing. Shallow, raspy, getting closer. I couldn't move. My limbs felt like they belonged to something else. My fingers tingled. My ears rang, and somewhere deep in my chest I felt a memory shake loose. I had been here before, a long time ago, in this house, in that room. There was a girl, Emily. She lived in the room above the garage. She was my cousin, no half-sister. My mother had a child before me, one she kept hidden. Unstable, dangerous. They said she saw things, spoke to things, tore animals apart and blamed the whispering ones. When she started saying I was one of them too, they locked her away. Not in a hospital. In the room above the garage. I remembered the games we played through the vent, the way she'd slip notes down to me, written in red ink that I now realize was not ink. I remembered her screams. I remembered the silence after, and I remembered making a promise. I won't forget you. I did. I left her, and now she was coming back. The lights flickered again. My phone turned on by itself. A message typed across the screen, one letter at a time. You left me in the dark. Suddenly, the walls around me began to bend inward, groaning like old flesh torn from bone. The house wasn't a house. It was a mouth, swallowing me, digesting me in memories and guilt and rot. The hallway stretched as I ran. Shadows moved ahead of me, no, crawled as if gravity no longer mattered. I reached the front door. It was gone. Just smooth wall. Behind me, I heard her. Emily. But her voice. It wasn't just one. It was hundreds, whispering in unison. Children, women, men, all swallowed by this place, all forgotten. Come see what you made. I was dragged back through the house by invisible hands, hands that felt like bone and static and wet moss, and thrown into the garage. The door to the stairs was open. The room above was glowing. The smell hit me first, sweet and acidic, like perfume masking rot. On the bed, a dozen dolls sat in a perfect circle, their eyes scratched out, their mouths filled with hair. My hair. In the center of the room stood Emily, but she wasn't a girl anymore. She was hollow, skin stretched tight over something that pulsed and twitched beneath. Her head cocked unnaturally to one side as she stepped toward me on backward bending legs. I remembered you, I screamed. I don't know. My vision was fading, the room shaking. The floor opened beneath me and I fell, not down but into the walls, into the house, into her. I became part of it. Now I whisper too. At 3:12 a.m. if you stand by, the window above the garage, you might hear it, not a voice, a promise, I won't forget you. But I did, and now I am the room, waiting. I used to believe that monsters weren't real. Then my daughter drew one. It was a Tuesday morning, crisp and forgettable. The kind of day that would slip away in memory like all the others. Except it didn't. It never will. I found the drawing, tucked into her backpack when I was cleaning out her lunchbox. Crayon on construction paper, a family portrait. At first glance, it was the usual. Me, my wife Sarah, our daughter Lucy. Smiling stick figures, a bright sun in the corner, a dog. That looked more like a lizard, but next to us was something else. Tall, black, hollow eyes. Arms too long. Its mouth was open wide, stretching down its chest like a wound filled with jagged red lines. It towered over our family, its fingers resting on Lucy's shoulders. I felt a chill bloom in my spine, sharp and instant. I flipped the page over. She'd written in crooked letters, "This is Mr. Grin. He lives in my room now." That night I asked Lucy about it. She didn't answer right away. She just looked up at me with those wide, solemn eyes that children shouldn't know how to make. Then she said, "Mr. Grin told me not to talk about him." I laughed nervously. tried to brush it off. Well, I'm your dad. You can tell me anything. She blinked slowly. He's listening right now. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that thing's mouth. How it smiled with no teeth, like it knew something I didn't. I told myself it was just a drawing. Just a game. But the next morning, her bedroom door was locked from the inside. When I finally got it open, she wasn't in her bed. She was curled in the closet, shaking, eyes bloodshot, whispering to herself. I knelt beside her and she flinched like I was going to hit her. I'd never. Her voice was hoarse when she said, "He doesn't like the light anymore." That day I called her pediatrician. He said it was a phase. Maybe a stress response, but Lucy wasn't stressed. She barely ate, barely spoke. Just stared into corners of the house like she was watching a movie no one else could see. Sarah started sleeping in Lucy's room. She said it made her feel safer. But the next morning she was pale, lips trembling. She wouldn't say what happened. Just told me don't go in her room at night no matter what you hear. And we heard things, thumps, scratches, breathing, always just outside the door. One night at 2:46 a.m. I heard something laugh, not a child's laugh, not a man's either. Something in between, like a recording warped by time. That same night, Lucy's drawing was back on the kitchen table, except now Mr. Grin was the only figure on the page. All of us, me, Sarah, even the dog, had been scribbled out in frantic black crayon, like we'd never existed. I burned the picture. I burned. It watched the ash float up like dead butterflies. I felt stupid afterward, like I'd let fear get the better of me. I even made a joke about it to Sarah. She didn't laugh. She didn't even look at me. She just whispered, "He won't go away. He's part of her now." That night Lucy stood by our bed. We didn't hear her come in. We just woke up and she was there, inches from my face, eyes wide open, lips not moving. But I heard her speak. "He says you're next." Then she walked away and lay back down like nothing happened. I haven't told anyone this next part. Not even Sarah. Not because I'm scared they won't believe me, but because I'm scared they will. I heard scratching last night. Not in Lucy's room. From inside our closet. And I swear to God, it was drawing. I didn't open the closet that night. I just sat there paralyzed, listening. The scratching continued. Slow. Methodical. Like someone dragging nails across wood. Or drawing. Over and over again. It was the kind of sound that makes your bones feel wrong, like they've been wired backward. At some point I passed out. Fear does that. It breaks you down until your body just checks out. But when I woke up, something was wrong. The closet door was open. Inside, nothing. No signs of entry. No sign of anything being drawn. Just the smell, coppery and old like rusted metal and wet earth. Sarah was already downstairs. She hadn't heard a thing. Or she was pretending not to. Lucy was at the table eating dry cereal with her hands. A new drawing in front of her. It was me. Lying in bed. Eyes black. Mouth stretched too wide. Mr. Grin stood beside me. One arm inside. My chest pulling out red scribbles that looked too intentional to be random. My hands were shaking as I grabbed it. "Lucy, why did you draw this?" She didn't look up. "He told me to," she said. "He's almost done with you." That night I set up cameras. One in Lucy's room, one in the hallway, one facing our bedroom door. I told myself I was going to catch a prank, maybe some kind of sleepwalking. But deep down I already knew it wasn't going to be that simple. I watched the footage the next day. At 3:12 a.m. the hallway camera went dark, just static, for exactly 1 minute and 13 seconds. When it returned, the bedroom door was open. I switched to the bedroom feed. The footage stuttered. Frames skipped, the time code blinked erratically. And then, I saw it. Something crawled out of the closet. It moved like smoke, but with joints, limbs bending the wrong way. And its face. God, its face. No features. Just a black slit where the mouth should be, stretching down and down like it wanted to swallow the whole room. It stood beside my sleeping body and leaned in, whispering something. I paused the video. My face twitched in my sleep. I rewound, played it again, and this time, I turned the volume up. The thing leaned down and whispered, in a voice that sounded exactly like mine. "You'll forget the light." That was 2 days ago. Last night Sarah was gone when I got home from work. No note. Her phone left behind, dead. Her side of the closet empty. I searched the entire neighborhood, called hospitals, cops. Nothing. But Lucy wasn't surprised. When I told her, she just nodded and said, "She didn't scream. He likes when they scream." I asked her what the hell she meant. I was losing it. Voice raised, fists clenched. She just picked up another crayon. "Don't worry, Daddy," she said, smiling for the first time in days. "He saved you for last." I lost it. I tore through her drawings, looking for something, anything that would explain this madness. And at the bottom of the stack, I found a drawing I'd never seen before. It was our house, a perfect copy. But underground, beneath the floorboards, there were tunnels, caverns, rooms made of faces. Our faces, thousands of them stitched together with lines of red. In the center, a throne, and on it sat Mr. Grin. Only this time, he was wearing my skin. I burned everything. I packed Lucy into the car, drove 6 hours to my brother's in Idaho. I didn't tell him the truth. How could I? I just said I needed time and space. He let us stay in the guest room. That was last night. Tonight, Lucy's sleeping beside me, and I just found a new drawing on the pillow. It's this room. Me. Lying in bed. And something standing over me. Its arms are already inside my chest. And the words written at the bottom? There's no such thing as monsters until you draw one. I should have never opened that message. It popped up at exactly 3:17 a.m. A text from a number I didn't recognize. No name, no emoji, just 4 words that punched the breath out of me. "You left me here." At first I thought it was a prank. Maybe someone got the wrong number. But the dread, the cold, crawling dread that gripped me was far too real. I stared at those words like they might rearrange into something else, something that made sense. But they didn't. And when I tried to respond, the message vanished. That night, I barely slept. I kept hearing faint knocking, not from the door but the walls. Like something was inside gently tapping, reminding me it hadn't gone away. I live alone in a small duplex in upstate New York, the kind of place that feels isolated even when the neighbors are home. The silence here isn't peaceful, it presses in. The next morning, I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was some glitch or spam. But when I checked my phone again, there it was, the same number, a new message. "Why didn't you help me?" My stomach dropped. I didn't know who this was. I couldn't know. And yet, something about the phrasing, the tone, it clawed at something buried deep in my memory, something I didn't want to remember. I called the number. No ringtone, just static. Then a faint whisper, almost like breath brushing my ear. "You watched me die." I threw the phone. I was shaking, heart jackhammering in my chest. That voice wasn't unfamiliar, but it couldn't be real. Because the person it sounded like had been dead for 8 years. Her name was Brooke. My cousin. My best friend when we were kids. She drowned at a lake we visited every summer with our family in Oregon. I was the last one to see her alive, and I never told anyone what really happened. After the funeral, I buried it, deep. No one ever questioned me. Everyone thought it was just a tragic accident. But now, something, or someone, was making sure I couldn't forget. Later that night, I heard the knock again, not on the wall. This time, it came from inside my closet. 3 soft, deliberate knocks. I approached slowly, the air thick with static. My fingers trembled as I gripped the handle. Every instinct screamed at me not to open it, but I did. Nothing. Just clothes and shadows. Until I noticed something tucked between my old jackets. A Polaroid. Faded, slightly warped from age. It was a photo of me and Brooke from that summer, except I swear that picture never existed. And behind us, blurred, but undeniably there, was a third figure, standing right behind me. Eyes hollow, face stretched wide in a grotesque smile, and written, on the back in jagged red ink, "You're next." I burned the photo. I thought maybe, that would end it. That fire could erase whatever force had clawed its way out of the past. But the moment the flames consumed Brooke's face, every light in the house blew out with a deafening pop. Darkness swallowed everything, total choking blackness, and then that smell, like rotting lake water and burnt hair. I stumbled back, hands out, trying to find my bearings. My phone buzzed in my pocket, one notification. I didn't want to look, I knew it was her. But I looked anyway. Live video. From my own number. It was a stream of me, standing in my living room. Except I wasn't holding the phone. My hands were empty. In the stream, I was standing completely still, head tilted, eyes locked on the camera, and then my reflection, that version of me, began to smile. I dropped the phone, but the sound continued, whispers spilling from the speaker like wet static. It wasn't the water that took me. I ran. Out the door. Into the freezing night. But the world outside didn't look like home anymore. The street was gone. No lights. Just fog, thick and gray, curling around everything like fingers. The houses were there, but wrong. Warped. Windows like empty sockets. No cars, no wind, just silence and fog. And in that silence a shape emerged. It walked like Brooke. Head down. Long hair soaked and dripping. Skin pale and bloated, like she'd never left the bottom of the lake. But it wasn't Brooke. Not anymore. Her head snapped, up, and I swear. Her jaw stretched far too wide, skin splitting at the corners, revealing rows of dark, chattering teeth. I turned and ran, not knowing where I was going, just desperate to escape. I could feel her behind me, wet footsteps slapping the ground, gurgled breathing, that smell. I burst back into my house, or what looked like my house. But the air was wrong, heavy, wet, like I'd stepped into the lake itself. And everything inside was different. Water pooled on the floor. Mold crept across the walls in pulsing black veins. My furniture was soggy, half submerged. The closet door creaked open by itself. Inside was Brooke's body, mummified, arms twisted, eyes wide open, glassy and screaming, and at her feet, my old phone from 8 years ago. The one I dropped in the lake the day she died had lit up, one new message. We both drowned that day. Behind me, I heard the squelch of footsteps. I turned just in time to see her, Brooke's bloated form, now just inches from my face. Her eyes weren't angry. They were empty. And she whispered, something I can still hear in my skull over and over. "You brought me back, now switch." She opened her mouth wider than any human should. Darkness spilled out, black and liquid, and it swallowed me. I woke up gasping. Only I didn't wake up in my bed. I was underwater, in the lake, staring up through the surface as someone stood on the dock above me. Someone with my face, my voice, my life. I screamed, but no sound came out, just bubbles, because I'm not the one telling the story anymore. He is. Now that you've heard what no one should, remember, the terror doesn't end here. There are still many stories lurking in the dark, waiting to be told. So subscribe, leave a like, and share this video with your family. It helps me a lot to keep bringing you these chilling tales. And don't forget to check out the next video playing on the screen if you dare to face more nightmares.